Hi, my name is Brandon Stone, and welcome to this 5-minute biohazard remediation and hoarding cleanup training clip. If you're interested in working in this multi-million-dollar industry, please take a few minutes to view our full course at biohazardcourse.com.
CTS Decon, which is short for Crime and Trauma Scene Decontamination, is much more than processing, documenting, and bagging biohazards and trash. When done right, biohazard remediation is a slow, methodical, systematic, and orderly process that involves protocols and processing methodology. It's a business that requires you to do things correctly and safely, and it's a business that's very difficult to learn without proper training. So assuming you've now secured your first job, what's your plan? Are you ready? Do you know the steps that you'll need to take to properly remediate the suicide scene that a mother just called you about? A mother who just lost her son 12 hours prior to a self-inflicted gunshot wound? As much as we like to think our training course will prepare you for your first job, there's nothing that can truly prepare you to deal with the distraught mother who just lost her child. No amount of training can make you ready to clean a scene that's covered in human blood. However, I can tell you through my years of experience as a police officer and owner of Biotrauma 911, it does become easier to manage. As you do this job and gain experience working a wide range of trauma-related scenes, you'll become better at projecting professionalism. You'll be less likely to dwell on the emotional side of the trauma and more likely to deal with the business side of it. That said, the job of remediating trauma scenes can exact a toll on your technicians both physically and emotionally. Always be prepared to talk with your techs concerning their well-being and offer company-paid therapy if you find one of your team members is struggling to cope with the job. So back to your plan. We like to say that an efficient plan produces an effective outcome. Or it's been said that one's failure to plan is a plan for failure. There's probably 100 more sayings that stress the importance of having a plan of action. So when you get your first job, your first action may be to go back through this training material. This is why we give you access for 2 years. Revisiting these topics may refresh your memory, but chances are you won't have a lot of time to do this. Most clients who request biohazard remediation services need the job to be started within 24 hours, some even quicker. So let's run through some of the steps you'll want to take once your client agrees to your pricing and terms. Think about the job as you know it based on your client's description and/or photographs. Is there anything that you think you may need to study or revisit in your training? Now's the time to do it. If you're a member of our business bundle package, you could call us for assistance and we'll walk through the job with you. Think about the tools, chemicals, and equipment you'll need for the job and make sure everything is in the truck and ready to go. If it's wintertime and below freezing in your area, make sure your chemicals are not frozen. It's always a good idea when experiencing temperature extremes to store chemicals in a climate-controlled environment. Do you need to visit a home improvement store to pick up anything you may not have on hand? Do you know where you're going? Will this be a day trip or will you need to arrange for hotel rooms? Do you have enough money for fuel there and back? Remember, if you're pulling a trailer, you may only get 8 to 10 miles to the gallon. Talking about money, did you receive a portion of the proposed cost up front? At Biotrauma 911, we typically receive a minimum of 50% up front unless we're dealing with a business or insurance company. If a homeowner's policy is going to cover the cost of remediation, then you would only receive the policy deductible from the homeowner, as the remaining balance will be paid by the insurance company. Did the client return a signed contract, and do you have a signed permission to enter, or will the homeowner be at the site when you arrive? These are just some of the things you want to think about or consider before heading to the job. Once you arrive on scene, you'll conduct your assessment, taking note of both clean and affected areas. Clean areas may come into play when you need to move uncontaminated items out of your work area. We always like to designate a staging area for clean items. One thing to consider is how can we get the job done with the least amount of potential for cross-contamination. This is extremely important. As you may have learned in some of our other training videos, anytime we approach a biohazard remediation job, such as a crime scene or suicide, we establish a clean tech and a dirty tech. Most biohazard remediation jobs will only require 2 technicians. Let's first talk about the role of the clean tech, who may or may not be the less experienced of the 2 technicians. However, the position of clean tech isn't a bad position to be assigned to if you're relatively new to the industry and want to gain some experience by watching a more experienced technician do the actual remediation work. As a clean tech, you'll stay out of the affected area as much as possible, assist the dirty tech as needed, retrieve and maintain tools, disinfect tools as they are no longer needed, maintain and store all items removed from the scene, put together new biohazard boxes and seal up and remove full ones, Staged trash and other items be taken to the landfill. In general terms, the clean tech keeps everything ready for the dirty tech.